Dr. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't say that I'm leaving because I had already gone away and I'm back. So. But I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this issue because I don't think there's any doubt that everybody considers what's going on in the world rather serious. So far, I've only heard two proposals to try to get us out of the mess. One is to come up with $18 billion appropriation for the IMF, which I don't think a whole lot of. The other is to increase liquidity and lower interest rates. These seem to be the only two options that are given any serious thought. I think both of them are detrimental to my constituents and to the taxpayers of America and will serve them no benefit whatsoever. And the beneficiaries may be out there, but sometimes I wonder if there are any beneficiaries. Maybe some who have made unreasonable loans might get some benefits, but I don't think the evidence is very good that this is a helpful situation. But I do want to urge my colleagues and others to be careful about the lowering the interest rates as a panacea. The lowering of the interest rates means that you have to increase liquidity and you have to inflate a currency and you have to debase a currency, which on the long run can be detrimental. Interest rates are unpredictable. Here we have interest rates of 1% in Japan. It's not doing a heck of a lot of good. So there's no easy way to interpret what will happen. And Japan, their stock market is 36% of what it was 9 years ago. So that's a rather serious problem. Brazil, this past week, they took a discount rate, took it from 20% and put it up to 50 cents. Boom, boom, their stock market went up. Last week we had a hint that our rates may be dropped. Little hint, little teasing of the market, our stock market goes up. But I don't think that has anything to do with long-term solutions to our markets, and that's what I think we should be thinking about. I found the language in Mr. Greenspan's testimony rather clear English. I was pleased with some of the things that I read in there, but I also was pleased with it because it sort of brought out some of the nostalgia he has for the gold standard. And I want to make a comment on that and see if I can get a follow-up. I was particularly interested in what occurred on what you wrote on page 5 when you, I thought, very clearly identified some of the real benefits of the gold standard. When you talk about the 19th and the 20th century, international capital flows were largely uninhibited. Losses, however, in an environment where the gold standard rules were tight and liquidity constrained were quickly reflected in rapid increases in interest rates and the cost of capital generally. And the key sentence, this tended to delimit the misuse of capital and its consequences. Imbalances were generally aborted before they got out of hand. I think that is so crucial. And then again, later on, here's me. More elastic currencies, those type of currencies we have today, are arguably now less sensitive to and hence slower to contain the misallocation of credit. I think that is crucial. Market contagion across national borders has consequently been more prevalent and faster in today's international financial markets than they had been under the gold standard. To me, this demonstrates so clearly the advantages of the gold standard, and of course, where we are today, it's a long way from the gold standard. And I would like to ask and see if we can get a suggestion. I know there are many countries visiting, the 22 countries getting together and talking about revamping our system. But I don't think they're close to thinking about new currencies, a new method of evaluation. We have had no definition for the dollars for 27 years. Von Mises, the great Austrian economist, predicted that the conditions that we have today would come from a fiat monetary standard. But he also stated that fiat currencies finally self-destruct, and eventually we will be forced to return to putting value behind our money. And that you can't take a ruble and just declare that the government's going to put trust in the ruble. It doesn't work. Or the rupiah, or if the peso gets out of hand. Just fiat by government will not restore trust. When will the time come? Do you perceive in the next 2, 3, 4 years of any chance that we would ever have a serious discussion about putting real value behind our money once again?
Well, excuse me, if I could intervene for a second. I would like to give the panel only 1 minute to respond, and then the chair will make some other announcements. We have some real timing problems on the floor. Dr. Greenspan.
Well, I would just say that, Dr. Paul, you and I have had this conversation previously, and I don't want to prolong it for more than the 1 minute. There are very considerable advantages in having the type of structure that the gold standard was. There are also perceived by large numbers of people, economists, legislators and the like, who found that the precisely what I was referring to, namely the sense of restriction, too restrictive to the development of economic growth and stability. And I think that that's an argument which has been going on for quite a considerable period of time. I also tried in my remarks to indicate that there are ways of simulating the effects of the positive aspects of the gold standard without actually going to it. And that's where I think the evidence suggests a goodly part of discussions have been going in the last decade or so, and I think correctly so.
I thank you, Dr. Greenspan.